Hello and good evening, race fans. Welcome to another live broadcast of the Dynasty Racing League. I'm your host, Getty Buckner. Tonight we're going to be bringing you this race live from DRL TV. Today we have a great event for you guys. It is going to be the MoSports Duels. Not one, but two races. Two for the price of one. Tonight we're going to be doing 25 laps per race. So again, it's two races, 25 laps around the road course here in Bowmanville, Ontario, up north there. Yeah, hey there. So again, it says 35 laps, but we will actually be doing two 25 lap races here, as we are just about to finish with practice here, and qualifying will begin shortly. Now, this is going to be event number 8 of the Indy series, although this is only being the second event that has been broadcasted. And last week's outstanding race was at the Indy 2. It was our Indy 250. It ended up being an absolute great show, and for any of you guys that missed it, we suggest that you go back and look at. We've got all of our past broadcasts on YouTube, of course, and you can always look through it. And I suggest giving that one a watch if you didn't. It was incredible action. And tonight, we actually have a great opportunity. This is going to be the first road course for the Indy series that we are going to be broadcasting. So we have the pleasure of doing that. We have a huge field today, so we're going to definitely have some action here. This is a very fast, very quick road course here. 10 turns. 2 or 3 turns are definitely going to be the issue, and we will highlight those a little bit later on, of course, as we are now watching David Winkfield try to maybe set a time here as we are getting the broadcast started. They do have 10 minutes to put down 2 laps. Always, trying to make sure that you put a qual lap down. Sometimes, depending on how race control rules it, some of these guys could start with a penalty right away if they don't get that qualifying lap in. So you definitely want to get that done. But after 25 laps, no matter whether the race ends under green or yellow flag conditions, we are going to crown ourselves a winner. At the end of race 1, we will take a small break here in the broadcast. It will continue to stay live, but we will do everything. I'll do everything I can to entertain you until the second race starts, which will be, immediately following this one. So again, guys, 2 races tonight with a huge field. It's incredible. I'm so excited. I can't even use English words right now, unfortunately. Super proud that we've gotten as many drivers as we did to come in here and try out this road course racing. For those of you who may not know, the Dynasty Racing League, for as long as I've known it, has been primarily ovals. Besides what road courses that we would run during a normal stock car, NASCAR scheduling, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, we actually do come here with the Craftsman trucks. So, some of these drivers are familiar with it, but not in this car. This is the newest Dallara IR18. These guys, a lot of these guys, this is their first time racing it in competitive, in a competitive nature, a competitive situation. Some of these other guys, as you see at the top of the leaderboard there, Spencer Tart, Matthew DePriest, Luke Short, we've seen them already this season at some of the road courses. So, as we are getting set, we're just about halfway through qualifying here. Our next broadcast will be next week. It'll be another oval, similar to similar to the Indy that we had last week, except this one it's another what do they call it? A crown jewel event. Later in the broadcast, of course, I can bring in Eric Weatherholtz, who is the administrator for this Indy series, and he can go into further detail about the rules and the prizes and all the fun stuff that goes around our crown jewel events. We do have 4 this season. We had one last week. The winner, Jonathan Schwartz, was the recipient of a $25 purse because of winning that race. And so next week we will bounce right into another one at Texas Motor Speedway for 200 laps. So it is more of an endurance event. Obviously, with how fast these cars circle that place, it still won't take very long at all. I mean, 200 laps when you're, I'm not exactly sure of the lap time there, but it's not that, really it doesn't take that long. So looking at the times here, we do have Spencer Tart, Matthew DePriest, Mike Lemon as our top three. And for the road course series here, it's very similar to the rules of the Verizon IndyCar series. It's not made to resemble the F1 series. So for the starts here, I do believe we will be starting with the pace lap, with the pace car instead of a standing start, which is what they do in Formula One, of course. But it's a road course. You guys were turning right and left, and some of these guys don't do it all that often. So this is going to be a great event to watch as we are looking at Tater Bowman's vehicle here. One of the guys that I would always want to see deem a favorite is Matthew DePriest. He is very consistent. But one of the fastest road course racers that we have had this season is Brandon Dalton. And he is actually not joining us for this first race. He will probably join us for the second, but each one of these duels is considered its own separate event. So we're running 2 points races tonight, in theory. So Brandon Dalton will miss out on points here, and he is second in points behind Andrew Short, who will miss both of these races due to life happening. Andrew Short is actually the only driver to have made it to every one of the events this year, and therefore he is our points leader, and Brandon Dalton is in second, 18 points behind Andrew Short. Matthew DePriest is only 1 point behind Brandon Dalton. So at the end of this race, Matthew DePriest has an opportunity to be our points leader as we head into duel number 2. As we just take a look here at Tater Bowman trying to set that lap. Of course, 4 minutes left. Most of these guys have probably put their qual lap in already. And right now, really not a huge surprise that Spencer Tart currently has the fastest lap at a 102.167, which officially would be the new track record, as the track record was set here a few years ago. I believe it was a 104. So we're running some pretty fast speeds here at MoSports, and it's several drivers that have actually getting into that 1.02 area. So a lot of fast cars. I definitely anticipate there's going to be a couple races within the race. We're going to have 3-4 guys maybe battling for that lead. We're going to have a few guys in the middle of the pack being a little bit more conservative. Again, not everyone here has a lot of time in this car or on this racetrack. And then we're going to have the guys in back that are just trying to learn how to do some road course racing. And, if anyone's watching that wants to join us here in the Indy series or in any series that we have, you want to go to www.dynastyracingleague.com. It's very easy to remember. That is the name of the league, dynastyracingleague.com. You'll be able to contact our administrator, actually our owner rather, Mr. James Pandolf, and he, if you're interested, you let him know what series you want to run. We have 3 stock car series, and this series, the Indy series, which is a mix of oval and road. And if you're interested, you just go to www.dynastyracingleague.com. No fancy spelling. It's exactly as you think it would be. And reach out to him and come join us. We run races Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we're busy. They're all broadcasted live. So your loved ones and your friends and family will always be able to watch you race and watch you do your hobby. So if you're interested, www.dynastyracingleague.com. As we are just about wrapped up here with qualifying, looking at the top of the grid here, I believe that is Mike Springer, a name that doesn't join us all that often here in the Indy series, is putting down a lap almost getting into the 1.01s, as he is currently at 1.02 and 0.00. So, I mean, that's as close as you can get to hitting that 101 mark. Again, I don't think they'll be hitting that. That's definitely not race. That's definitely not race pace here, but these guys nonetheless have qualified. They put a huge, just a massive hot lap. Some of these guys, of course, electing to go a little bit slower and stay in the back and just, again, get acclimated with the track here. As MoSports isn't known for being the most technical, crazy track, but it's not, you know, easy either. None of these tracks are. You've got two corners here. We have Clayton Corner and Moss Corner that can be pretty action-packed. Clayton Corner being turn 2, it's an issue because as Tater Bowman is actually getting ready to go into the Clayton Corner, you see the elevation change. You kind of hit a hump as you go down and turn it and brake at the same time. You're asking your tires to do an awful lot. Entering Quebec Corner here, turn 3, and you're going to slope to turn 4, and you're going to enter turn 5, which is Moss Corner, which you are going to see a lot here. Again, this is just turn 4. Entering Moss Corner is going to be that's going to be the busy part on the track here. So gridding here, we're gonna. These guys have about 2 minutes to grid, and we are just gonna take a little bit of a break and just sit back and enjoy the ambiance. And then we're gonna try to chase down our pole sitter, Mr. Mike Springer, and see if we can get an interview and see kind of what he has, you know, what he's anticipating for this race. Hey, Mike Springer, you got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, as if my eyes don't deceive me, you actually put down the fastest qual time here. What is it that you found here that maybe other guys haven't as far as speed?
To be totally honest, I just bought the car 2 days ago, and this is the first time I've seen this track with this car.
That's always an interesting story, yeah. You know.
I just bought the car. I ran Belle Isle because it was the new track out, about 15 laps in this car, and that's all the experience I have with this car. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, do you have a game plan? It's only 25 laps. It's not really considered a sprint, but it's not really an endurance race either. It's just 25 laps. I'm not sure if you even need to pit for fuel, maybe for tires if there's a caution or something like that. Do you have a strategy here, or are you just going to let it all hang out?
I'm going to just try to keep it on the track just because I don't have the experience with the car. I'm sure you're going to see me in the grass at one point. I don't know. I'm shocked I'm up here, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, you know, if you can get in here, it's never too late to start chasing some of the points. You know, pole position, you get extra points for that if you're interested in running this for the rest of the season, of course. Obviously, the ovals are intriguing, but the road courses are their own beast. But, you know, good luck out there. You're not going to be the only one running in the grass. Don't worry about that. Just, you know, just make sure to keep the pod intact there and, you know, finish as well as you can, I suppose.
Yeah, I saw the Indy broadcast, and it made me buy the car. So it looked fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Next week will be Texas. But for now, we try to tackle this demon, Mike, so you have a good one.
Yeah, this is – okay, you guys too, man. Have a good broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Now that is Mike Springer, just in shock and awe of his pole position, as we are going to actually take that one pace lap here of the full length, and then we are going to go green. Now, guys, at the beginning of this green flag, this is going to be some of the first green flag racing that these guys see in this vehicle on this track. Will there be damaged Indy cars? I hope not, but it's certainly possible. So you definitely never want to see it, but I imagine there might be some hurt feelings here. Again, a great opportunity is that we have another race after this. So if this race doesn't go well, you can go out in just a little bit and do another. You know, you can attempt another race. Again, 2 points races here. And what I wanted to show you earlier is this right here. We are entering Moss Corner. This is turn 5A, you know, 5A/5B, or 5 and 6 really. And right here you can see it's just a tight hairpin. You can hit those curves. You can do all sorts of, there's different lines coming in and out of that, whether you want to set up that last little part or whatever, as we head down Mario Andretti straightaway all the way down to turn 8, which is the start of the S's here. This is going to be a crazy race, but that part of the track in particular, we're going to see a lot of action. We can honestly just broadcast from that corner, and we would be able to see, again, most of the action. A lot of passes are going to be trying to set up there. So today, I mean, we don't really know who's going to win here. I definitely have we have favorites in mind, of course, but you just never know for sure, as we are just about set to take the green flag at our first broadcasted road course race for the Indy Series. Guys, I'm so excited. This is going to be an excellent show.
Green, green, green.
As we are set going green, gentlemen, they are flying into turn 1. Down into turn 2 here shortly, going up into Clayton's corner. This is a clean start so far, at least up here in the front. Looking here in the back of the field a little bit. So far, clean racing. We got a little bit of a group back there, but getting through Clayton's corner so far quite decent, as one car has gone off track and locks it up quite nicely and is able to avoid... Ooh! I believe that is Spencer Tart, the second place car, as we try to get an instant replay here, and it looks like, well, let me try that one more time here. Looks like maybe he cuts the nose of that vehicle there. Again, these guys maybe not knowing where people are going to be at certain times as we, again, go live here. So we do have a couple casualties here so far. Mike Lemon ended up taking the lead. We ended up missing that lead there. Lap 1. We didn't miss. We missed the switch between Mike Springer, who ended up leading that lap again. There's a lot of action on that first lap there. Spencer Tart being taken out. I don't know if he got really any extensive damage there. Hopefully he's able to repair that and get out. We saw a couple people go off course. Again, I fully expected that to happen. Again, hopefully these guys can get that get that couple, that spin or two maybe out of their system, build some confidence. You don't need to go fast here. You just need to run your own race. Again, there's a lot of cars in this field. There's 20 cars on track, which is more than what we even had at our first oval race here at Homestead at the beginning of the year. So there's a lot of cars out here. This is a full field. This is what they run in F1. And of course, if anyone has watched a Formula 1 race, you will notice that the opening laps are always full of chaos and calamity. So again, no surprise here, as Spencer Tart seems to have been a victim, with race control possibly throwing out that caution for reasons to kind of get everybody situated and calm down and gather up their stuff. Again, we're going to look at here at Mike Lemon, who started 4th, got into 1st, and then there is the Mike Springer, who started 1st and actually is now currently in 4th. Again, because we were watching the Spencer Tart spin, I wasn't really able to see how that happened. As I'm trying to look, let's actually have a look around Mike's car here and see if he really has any damage. I mean, his front wing appears to be intact. Again, he said he was going to be conservative. Unfortunately, he didn't get to lead that first lap, which you always kind of want to do as a pole sitter. Get out there, lead lap 1, and just say that you did it. But with really no damage there, as we're going to look here at Spencer Tart's vehicle, a little bit of a little bent up front wing, which can be fixed. I'm not seeing a whole lot of pod damage here, which of course that's the most important thing. That there's certain damage that you can and can't fix. And that is one of them. Pod damage you cannot fix. If you get too much damage, the steward will actually park your car because there's just certain damage that you cannot fix here. Pod damage, suspension damage is one of them. You can fix a busted front wing. They just pop it off and just put a new one on. Kind of like a little Lego set, I guess is the best analogy that I can come up with. So, looking here at Mark Wenzel, who is in the middle of the pack here, enjoying his clean car. I'm trying to maybe figure out. That might have been Matthew DePriest whose nose got cut there by Spencer Tart, and indeed it is. And he has a little bit of front wing damage. I'm not seeing a lot of pod damage, so these guys will be able to kind of, they'll be able to keep on going. Matthew DePriest experienced enough to know how much damage is too much damage, because he has been, again, doing these road races with us all year. He actually has a victory at the Indianapolis Grand Prix, so... a winner in the series already at a road course. His teammate Brendan Dalton also has 2 victories one on a road course, one on an oval. So these guys know what they're doing. He does have that wing damage there, as we can see, but again, it appears to maybe not be extensive enough for him to want to give up that track position, which is huge here. So again, guys, we're gonna try everything we can to make sure that we are keeping up with all the action here. There's gonna be a lot. It's really tough to keep up with all the spins and the bangs and all that stuff. So the lights, it looks like, are out here on the pace car, as the pace car will probably duck off here, and we will have a single file restarts from here till the end of the race. So Mike Lemon will be leading Luke Short, Ryan Branch, Mike Springer, and Tater Bowman as the green flag is out. Again, they're about to dive here into turn 2, Clayton Corner here. Again, a lot of spinning here, especially as these tires are still cold. Heading down into Quebec Corner and onto this little mini straightaway as they head into turn 4 and 5 here. Looks like the front group here has just about sorted itself out, as we have Matthew Kleinschmidt kind of hit the grass there just a little bit, as these guys are trying to navigate through that treacherous Moss Corner there. Down Andretti straightaway, as you can get a lot of speed here. You'll just about max out your rev limiter here as you head into the S's. Currently riding here with Robbie Armstrong. Basically, he's currently running where he started, so for him, he's definitely a points regular here. He's just looking to have a good points race, as his Indy race didn't really go that well, as he got taken out actually when he was the leader and ended up getting too much damage, as Tater Bowman is actually looking to overtake him, which is, again, that's a very dangerous place to overtake. We are actually going to ride on board with Luke Short here, as he is trying to chase down our leader, Mike Lemon. It looks like Zachary Smith has entered the pits here again. That might be a damage issue, or hopefully we can get an update on that at some point. As we are currently going through the S's, and you can tell, you can hear those wheels just looking for all that grip, as he has actually closed the gap here on Mike Lemon just a little bit, as Ryan Branch is right behind him with Mike Springer and Matthew DePriest rounding out the top 5. Following along here with Tater Bowman, who just about fills out that top 5. He is currently in 6th. Moving on here to Mike Springer, Ryan Branch. This top group has just about separated itself, and then here in the back, let's ride along here. Looks like Spencer Tart has just about regained his form here. Definitely, his pace seems to be more than adequate. It looks like he will probably, hopefully, be able to climb his way through the field. As Chris James has decided to park his vehicle, we will look at Chris James. I'm not seeing a whole lot of damage here. Again, there's something I may have missed, is Octavio Silvera has also decided to come down pit road. And we were looking at Luke Short here, and he has just gotten some damage. I'm actually going to go here. And it looks like he actually took out Mike Springer, which took out Ryan Branch. Oh, no. We're going to look at that one more time. Again, we are following Luke Short and Mike Springer. Ryan Branch, we're going to go on board with Ryan Branch here, as that is definitely going to be the cause of a yellow here. Luke Short getting into Mike Lemon, and hopefully Ryan Branch didn't get too much damage there where he's not able to continue, but that's going to take out a couple leaders. And Ryan Branch immediately going down pit road here. That's a shame for Ryan Branch. You know, he's just minding his own business up there in the top 5. Again, same with Mike Lemon, Luke Short. You know, everyone here has different breaking points and things of that nature. So you just never really know exactly what happened there. And hopefully those guys, again, can get back out. Ryan Branch was having a very impressive run there. You know, definitely well within the top 5. Same with Mike Lemon, who was our leader, and Luke Short, who also will have some extensive front end damage here, trying to get that front wing fixed. Again, the list of cars involved in that wreck that took out some of the leaders there. We have Ryan Branch, Mike Lemon, and Luke Short. 1, 2, 3 positions. I believe that was our first, second, and third position there. As you saw with the replay, looked like Luke Short keeping a certain pace coming out of those S's and into White's corner. And Mike Lemon may not have been keeping the same pace. Again, it's hard to say for sure. And it looks like Mike Lemon, you know, he's still in the race. Hopefully, looking at his car here, hopefully he's able to continue. You know, if this was an oval race, maybe he has too much damage to not be competitive. Hopefully his handling doesn't change too much. Again, when you get that little bit of pod damage with how downforce dependent these cars are, it really puts a strain on the vehicle trying to go at these high speeds. But it looks like Mike Lemon is still able to ride around. You know, kind of the same thing happened here with Spencer Tart, where he was, you know, put in the back of the field because of a spin there with Matthew DePriest, and you know, able to keep driving, which again is, these cars aren't really made to be tough. It's definitely not what you think of when you think of this vehicle. But here we go. You know, on this next restart, which we still have at least one pace lap to go, we do have a whole new top 5 here as Mike Springer, Luke Short, Jonathan Schwartz, Tater Bowman, Robbie Armstrong rounding out the top 5. Matthew DePriest, who has been, at least it seems like he's been in 6th the entire race here. With that, still a little bit of that front wing damage, so we haven't even seen the best out of Matthew DePriest yet, because it only took him a couple of turns to get that damage. Chris Stover, Matthew Kleinschmidt, Jason Taylor, and Martin Wenzel rounding out the top 10. So it's good to see people like Martin Wenzel, Matt Kleinschmidt, Chris Stover, Jonathan Schwartz. These are this is these guys' first adventure on a road course with us in the Indy Series, as Luke Short will decide to pit and get some of that front end damage fixed. I imagine they'll pop out that nose and just give him a fresh one, hopefully for him. But that gives the lead back to Mike Springer, who does now lead a lap. It looks like we'll have other people as well: Matthew DePriest, Martin Wenzel, and David Wingfield heading down. Some of those guys that were in the middle of the pack, maybe getting those fresh tires. Again, with the fresh tires here, if you don't know Indy cars all that well, one thing that these guys maybe, if they're inexperienced, they may not know, the fresh tires aren't always great, because for that first lap or two, when these tires are cold, they are not going to turn all that well. So you definitely have to get some heat in these tires first, and then you will see, you know, the speed come out. But especially for, you know, as I've mentioned already, Clayton Corner turn 2, Moss Corner turn 5 and 6, you're going to feel the effects of those cold tires as you try to dive into Clayton's corners. You might all of a sudden get an enormous amount of oversteer, as that rear end will just whip right around, not having enough grip. And seeing Ryan Branch, Chris James, you know, we've had these 4 on pit road for the majority, you know, well, not for the majority, but for this entire yellow flag here. Is hopefully Ryan Branch is able to get out, but it's possible that his race is over. Looking at Mike Springer now, he is our pole sitter. So he will have finally gotten that lap led, but he's going to get pressure here as we will be set to go green here in just a few. He's going to get pressure from a new contender here in Jonathan Schwartz, who is last week's winner. Jonathan Schwartz, you know, he's all over YouTube. He's in, you know, he's in a couple other different racing leagues that I've seen, and he's winning everywhere. So Jonathan Schwartz is no stranger to victory lane, and again, he's going to do everything that he can to pressure Mike Springer into a mistake. Not necessarily passing him, but you want to pressure that person in front of you into a mistake. That way it makes the pass all that much easier. And on this exchange here, when we are set to go green, I'm going to shut my mouth and we are going to rev it up, and we're going to listen to these vehicles go around this road course as we are set to go green.
Green flag, green flag.
Well, there was certainly no shortage of action on that rev it up sequence, as we saw Robbie Armstrong actually get some damage. As there might have been he spun there on that restart. Whether he got spun or spun on his own remains to be seen. We saw Jonathan Schwartz go off on that treacherous Moss corner there. Tater Bowman takes the lead over Mike Springer, and Spencer Tart finds himself back in the top 5. And Daniel Hallis is rounding out the top 5 here as we look at Daniel Hallis' vehicle as he exits the S's and goes into turn 1. Daniel Hallis driving that beautiful Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters / DRL TV IR18 as he's getting pressure from Chris Stouffer and Matthew DePriest. Ooh! Oh, Daniel Hallis tagged actually here. Oh no! We will actually look at a replay of that. It looks like he goes off course and comes up right in front of Matthew DePriest, who has not had great luck here, as it seems like he has run out of real estate twice now. As we actually go on to Matthew DePriest here and look at and kind of see what he saw. You see Hallis get a little bit loose there, and I mean there's just nowhere to go, and that's really unfortunate for both of those guys. As we will go back live here, Matthew DePriest now has slid down to 10th. I believe Luke Short was also wrapped up in that, as we are now looking at our leader, Tater Bowman, Mike Lemon, Robbie Armstrong, Ryan Branch, 3 guys that were definitely contenders, are now currently out. Chris James, not exactly sure what happened to him. Again, hopefully between these duels here, I can get a little bit more information from some of these guys, as we'll definitely have interviews probably here at the end of this race and into practice next race. Now looking at Tater Bowman here, he currently has, and Daniel Hallis now has also entered pit road here. Again, hopefully, we saw that he had some rear wing damage. Hopefully he does have enough damage, or he doesn't have so much damage where he is not able to continue. But Daniel Hallis, again, heartbreaking for him. He was just minding his own business, lost the rear end just a little bit, and he has now paid the price for it. As Mike Springer and Tater Bowman are having themselves a little bit of a battle here, as these guys are about to enter turn 2, the old Clayton corner, and head into Quebec corner here, turn 3, which is coming up there in sight. These two have kind of broken away from Jonathan Schwartz and Spencer Tart and Chris Stouffer. Jonathan Schwartz being almost 4 seconds back of these gentlemen here. So right now it's a 2-person race for this lead, as it looks like Mike Springer is able to chew into that lead just a little bit in the second sector, of course, and we'll see what happens in the third sector as they enter the S's out of Mario Andretti straightaway. And he's definitely chewed into that lead just a little bit. How much of a fight, is Tater Bowman going to put up? Do these guys want to really battle for it yet? As we've seen, passing here has caused a little issues, or has caused some issues. Seeing as easy as early as turn 1 when Spencer Tart was able, he cut the nose of Matthew DePriest. But going through the field here, we're going to go back through the field. Jonathan Schwartz, who started almost dead last here, all the way up to third with just about a clean car here. You can see he's definitely putting a good pace on right now, as his last lap was a 1:02.6, which is as fast as these leaders now. Entering Moss Corner here, which actually cost him an opportunity at the lead earlier when this restart started, as Tater Bowman has actually kind of lost it there on the exit of turn 6 there, giving Mike Springer the lead. And we'll see Spencer Tart move back in the top 3 as Tater Bowman, hopefully he's able to gather himself, and he certainly does well enough to maintain a 4th position. So still hanging on to a top 5 here. Now coming here back to Chris Stouffer, who's he had a very interesting and very eventful week last week at Indy. He was one of the leaders for most of the race. We saw some of the moves that he did were just absolutely outstanding, what he was able to do and maneuver around those cars, going 2 or 3, maybe even 4 wide at Indianapolis. But ultimately, one of his moves cost him a race as he hit that inside wall in the front stretch. Also, in one of his moves, he kind of took out Robbie Armstrong there, but that was at Indy. Now here we are back at road courses. It's good to see Chris Stouffer come back out and join us, as he's having right now a successful run in the top 5 here. As we've seen Luke Short, Kenneth Lehman has come in a few times. So the list of cars that have maybe taken a little bit too much damage here has grown a little bit, as we're just about 10 laps left of this race. And this race is definitely going very quickly here. Now behind Chris Stouffer is Jason Taylor, who he did start dead last, moved his way all the way up to 6th. Again, that's not a huge surprise. Jason Taylor has several top 5s this year. Most of them at road courses, because he's a very good road course racer. Skills are probably right there behind Brandon Dalton, Matthew DePriest. Currently just outside the top 5. Again, not the qualifying that I'm sure he wanted. Maybe he didn't quite get a lap in, or he put a slow lap on purpose, as it looks like Jonathan Schwartz has received some front end damage from maybe going off course, but he will have to probably pit and fix that front wing. Again, heartbreaking for these 3 cars here. It looks like Luke Short and Ryan Branch are out, as currently now Tater Bowman has actually moved his way back up to 3rd because of the Jonathan Schwartz spin. Now, behind him is actually Matthew DePriest, who has rebounded nicely from 2 incidents that he's actually had. One involving Spencer Tart, one involving Daniel Hallis. But, again, he could be our points leader coming out of this race, assuming, Brandon Dalton and Andrew Short, once they get their attendance points, you're able to get the points for, like, last place. If a life event shows up, you're not able to make the race. We're not going to... Ooh, who was that? Jonathan Schwartz hit that wall hard, as we will actually look at a replay there. Going into Clayton corner, just loses it. And again, not that, he didn't have most of a front wing there with how downforce dependent these vehicles are. That's going to cost Jonathan Schwartz maybe the race, as he was one of the leaders, but now he's just tiptoeing his way back to pit road. Anyway, going back to Matthew DePriest, this is a huge opportunity for him to take the points lead, because Andrew Short, Brandon Dalton, they'll get the last place points for not being able to make it. Again, we don't penalize these guys for not being able to make it for a life event, because life happens. Again, this is a simulator. This isn't real racing or anything like that. But Matthew DePriest should be able to capitalize on this. We might see Brandon Dalton in the second duel here, but Matthew DePriest just about getting a top 5 here, taking advantage of some of these leaders that have maybe spun out here, like Jonathan Schwartz. Tater Bowman, you saw him spin, so you can, these leaders can spin out. It is possible that Matthew DePriest, even though he's 4 seconds or 3 seconds back of Jason Taylor, can still gain another position and get inside that top 5. Now, I'm not going to talk about this next driver too much, because I just don't want to jinx him. Martin Wenzel, a terrific racer, he's definitely showing his mustard here, trying to compete on a road course race, on a road course with us. Speaking with him on an occasion or two, he's definitely he's definitely excited about the opportunity to come out here and learn to be a little bit of a better road course racer. He's obviously more than adequate, as he's currently sitting in 7th place. Looks like he has a very clean vehicle. He's running the smart race right now, not pushing it too hard, just trying to turn these laps and come and cross that start-finish line, which is something that Martin Wenzel has actually had an issue doing this year because of just what I want to say is maybe the worst luck in the universe. He actually might be the only guy I've seen that has worse luck than I do, as far as maybe getting taken out and spinning out or whatever, what have you. As we are actually going to look back here to the lead, Mike Springer does have a 4-second lead over Spencer Tart, but Tater Bowman and Spencer Tart, these guys are getting ready to tangle up here for the 2nd spot, as we will ride on board with Tater Bowman. And actually, I apologize just now. I actually realized that I'm actually in replay mode still. So we will see Tater Bowman, and we saw Spencer Tart just spin there at the end of that as I was exiting replay mode. But we'll see Spencer Tart actually drop down to 3rd now, and behind him, Chris Stouffer, Jason Taylor, Matthew DePriest, trying to chase him down. As it looks like this battle back here for 4th is getting ready to pick up here, as Jason Taylor is currently chasing down the 2-car of Chris Stouffer as they enter that treacherous turn 5 here. You can see a little bit of lockup there by Stouffer. Now we still do have 9 cars on the lead lap, so if a caution were to come out at any point, actually now it has bumped down to 8 cars. If a caution were to come out at any point, you still have 8 drivers that have an opportunity to take this win here. A little bit of front wing damage there on Jason Taylor doesn't seem to be affecting him too much, as all of the leaders now are running. There's a couple running 102s. Mike Springer is running a 103.6. Currently, with 4 laps to go, he doesn't have a huge reason to really push it. He can give up, 7 tenths, 8 tenths a lap, and still come across this thing in first place, as Tater Bowman, who's 3.5 seconds back, is trying to chase him. Spencer Tart almost 10 seconds back. of the leader. Actually 10 seconds back of Tater Bowman, 12, almost 13 seconds back of the leader, still fighting for a podium finish, which I would definitely deem a success in Spencer Tart's case, as he has already, he's had a few incidences that we've seen. Now, at the beginning of the broadcast, I mentioned that this wasn't going to be the most beautiful, clean race. I anticipated people going off course. I anticipated a collision or two. But what I'm very proud of watching this Dynasty Racing League road course race, the first one ever, besides the stock car racing at maybe Watkins Glen and Sonoma. We have 8 cars still on the lead lap. We still have a few cars in here trying to get points. They haven't quit yet. I can still see people like Ryan Branch, Robbie Armstrong. They're still in the lobby. They're still rooting on their fellow league members here. So it's great to see the camaraderie. Again, there might be a little hurt feelings between some of these drivers, but again, we do have one more race that we are able to, some of these guys are able to get a shot at redemption here. As Ryan Branch, I expect he will want to do, a do-over. Chris James, Robbie Armstrong, Daniel Hallis, Mike Lemon, Luke Short, Jonathan Schwartz, all those guys were incredibly fast. And Mike Springer now is he's maintaining that lead there. And that last time by, he beat Tater Bowman's lap time by 1/10 of a second. So these guys are giving it everything that they have. As we were looking back at Jason Taylor, still trying desperately to catch and pass Christopher for that final podium spot here, with just 2 laps to go. As we will actually look at Christopher's vehicle. And look back here to Jason Taylor, as he's able to catch him here and there, but Jason Taylor's probably just hopefully putting the pressure on Christopher, anticipating that maybe he makes a mistake and he's able to capitalize. Again, a very wise decision, as Spencer Tart actually now that I'm noticing, he's down into 5th position, which is still a great position to be in. Again, just being a frustrating race for Spencer Tart. Again, turning right there, just knocking that front wing off. He had already had front wing damage, as you can tell, as we are entering the final lap here. So we will go to the leader here, Mike Springer, with Tater Bowman following 2.6 seconds behind this guy, and these lap times for Mike Springer have cut down a lot, as he is just trying to make sure that he finishes his race. He will have a little bit of an obstacle here with that lap car, maybe. But again, lap traffic is blue flagged here. They are required to get out of the way. This isn't stock car racing. You don't have an opportunity to challenge for it. If you're on a road course and the leader has caught you, you need to get past. You need to pull over for these guys, as Tater Bowman all of a sudden has knocked a few seconds down. He has a couple more opportunities to maybe get some time in, as they are entering the S's. This is the last sector of the final lap here. Mike Springer taking that last lap, and he will actually get his first victory on this road course in his first race in that IR-18 vehicle. Huge congratulations to Mike Springer. Congratulations to Tater Bowman, Christopher, and Jason Taylor, just about fighting it out there. A huge congratulations to Spencer Tart for just about finishing this thing, as we will watch him cross. No, just adding a little bit of I can't even think of the saying right now. Martin Wenzel running the nice clean race. Again, I'm sure I've missed so many spins and other collisions, but it looks like his race car is rather clean, and he comes away with the top 5. But again, Mike Springer winning the first duel here. And Tater Bowman coming in second. Christopher rounding out that podium position here, as we will try to at least bring in Mike Springer into into an interview. Hopefully we can get Tater Bowman and Christopher, but again, we do have a couple minutes of rest before we enter again into the next lobby for the second duel. So as fun and as exciting as this race was, we still have one more, folks. Again, Mike Springer, the victor here. He was able to keep it clean. That's what he wanted to do at the beginning of the race when we spoke with him as our pole sitter. As we will actually, we're actually going to bring in Mike Springer here for a little bit of an interview. Mike Springer, we spoke to you at the beginning of this race, and you said you just wanted to keep it clean. You were able to accomplish that, and you were also in the process able to actually take a victory in one of these 2 duels. So what do you have to say?
Yeah, can you believe that? I can't. This is pretty crazy. It's my very first race in this car, so that's kind of cool to get that done. Yeah, I'm just kind of shocked. It was a good race. When they got together up front, I think that was, the changing point. And then, Bowman was really fast, but when he spun, I just tried to keep the tires kind of clean. And then the hardest part actually was when I backed off the last 2 laps. It ruined my timing, and it really slowed me down. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, we saw Tater Bowman closing in. He almost knocked like 3 seconds off in those last 2 laps there. Going into the next duel, what part of the track are you thinking that you need to improve the most?
Probably that tight hairpin before the straightaway.
Okay, yeah. So we call it
tricky.
Yeah, we call that Moss corner. It's almost like one corner. It's almost like one corner, but it's kind of like 2 because you almost have to set up the second part of it because it is a sharper turn.
And you nailed it. That's exactly it. So I don't know. It's tough.
Well, Mike, again, huge congratulations, huge shout out to you winning your first race in the IR18s. Now that you've experienced, is this something that you maybe are interested in maybe for the rest of the year as we enter into other road courses such as Road America, Watkins Glen, and things like that?
Yeah, the car is really fun to drive. So I had the old car and I didn't like it, so I never bought this one. And this thing's, go-kart on steroids, so it's a blast. I'll be racing again on Thursdays. My work schedule gets busy in the summertime, so when work permits, I'll race.
Absolutely, Mike. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here today. It's a pleasure to have all these drivers. We had a huge turnout for at least this first one. So get into the next lobby, sir, whenever it opens up, I think in about 8 minutes or so. And congratulations on your win.
Thank you. I got to go towel off.
I bet. Absolutely. Well, have a good one, buddy.
All right, thank you.
Again, a huge congratulations to Mike Springer, as we were going to maybe try to get in Mr. Tater Bowman if he's able to speak with us. Tater Bowman, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, sure do.
Well, that was an incredibly exciting race to watch. It was almost too much for me to cover at once. There was so much action, so many people spinning, collisions, good tight battles. When you saw Mike Springer kind of maybe taking his foot off the gas a little bit too much there in those final turns, did you think that you had an opportunity to pass him for the win?
Yeah. Mike's a true gentleman, though. I knew he was just saving because the car got really loose there toward the end of that run. So I knew he was saving, and if I could have got to him there in the last chicane, I might have made something of it, but I didn't want to run a guy over who had the best run out of everybody.
Well, again, we had some issues. Well, I wouldn't call them issues. Just we had racing. So we had racing happen because we're at a racetrack. We had racing. You saw some of the leaders kind of get together. Some of the leaders spun, including yourself. What are you looking forward to in the second duel?
Maybe people will bring a little bit more patience to the game. You can't be at the end if you rush the wall here with that car, and it's a wrap. So you got to be patient going in and trying to grab just a little bit extra, and that hairpin might end your day real quick.
Yeah, during the broadcast, I've mentioned 2 corners in particular, and maybe you can back me up and call me and make me look smart here. But the second corner, that downhill left-hand turn, it's called Clayton Corner, and then Moss Corner, which is that tight hairpin. It's turns 5 and 6. Those seem to be where a lot of the issues were. So, I mean, would you kind of agree with that assessment as far as those being the difficult turns, or is there maybe another one that I didn't think of?
No, those definitely take a little bit of finesse. The sweeping left-hander there, you got to let off. Car gets really light. The hairpin, you just kind of got to let the car do what it wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the final turn,
that
The
white
final
corner
turn
there,
there
that
is,
coming to
yeah.
the start finish line. Well, Tater, congratulations! It's great. I've mentioned earlier to you, of course, it's always great to see you out here, showing your road course skills, which maybe not everyone realized that you had. So it's not a surprising run because you are a competitor, but it's just a great run overall, and hopefully we'll see that you have the same success in that next one.
Hey, I really appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to if you have the time?
Yeah, I really want to shout out DPR, Mr. Daniel Hallis especially. He's put a lot of work in making us prepared this week and giving us a lot of pointers, and because he can really wheel this track. I think I saw him do a 101 this week. So hats off to Dan for kind of showing me some of these turns and just kind of giving me the lay of the land.
Yeah, and of course there was an unfortunate situation with Daniel Hallis. He actually got some damage. I think he got a little loose, and then Matthew Dupree's actually ended up hitting him. So it was unfortunate to see his race end, but obviously his leadership as far as trying to help you guys out with the road course skills paid off as DPR did get on the podium.
Thank you.
All right, Tater. Well, hopefully we have the same success in the second duel there, and we'll see you when we get in there.
All right, brother. Thank you.
We will try to grab this last interview here as Chris Stouffer is, he might be in the other lobby already, but it doesn't hurt to try. Chris Stouffer, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you were able to get a podium, kind of maybe making up for last week when you were, near the front most of the race. Again, oval versus road course, completely different, but still, again, able to get a podium, holding off Jason Taylor there at the end. How was your race overall? How would you rate that?
Well, I got in at the last minute. I thought I had more time, and I logged on, and I was like, oh, it's going green here in like 2 minutes. I better get in there. And so I didn't even get to put a qual lap down. Then when he threw one of those cautions, it caught me off guard, and I went right off the track right into one of the barriers and ended up getting damage from that. So, to be able to drive through the field and finish third, I mean, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Mike Springer also, everyone got a little bit of luck. Some of the leaders maybe took each other out. Some of them, spun themselves out of the race. But is there anything that you can take into the second duel that maybe you wish you would have known entering this first race?
Oh, for sure. I mean, now that I've got that race under the belt, I know what to expect from the handling of the car, how it's gonna react. Basically the speeds I can take the corners and whatnot. So, I mean, all that helps. And this time I'm going to be able to qualify. So hopefully, I'll be up there battling for the lead. I'm not sure. I know I had a decent pace there, but I don't know if I have the pace to compete for a win or not. I guess we'll find out.
Well, as maybe some of these other guys need to learn, it's not the pace that you keep as far as the leader. It's just being able to stay there until the end. So a lot of the fast guys actually took themselves out of the race early on. So lesson learned maybe for those guys as they enter their second opportunity to race. So again, congratulations on the podium. Hopefully we see you do well in the next race, and hopefully that we see your name as we enter other road course races going forward.
I appreciate it, and yeah, hopefully I make it through the next race without having another brain fart moment. But it happens.
It certainly happens. It happens to everyone, including myself. Well, have a good one, Chris.
At least here it doesn't end with the trip to the hospital. So.
No, thank God.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll see you.
All right, you guys, that was Chris Stouffer, our podium finisher. As we are going to, before we switch lobbies, we are going to take a look here at the unofficial results. Mike Springer, Tater Bowman, Chris Stouffer, as we've already spoken to, they are the podium finishers. Mike Springer also getting additional points because I do believe he led the most laps there. Jason Taylor, Matthew Dupree, Spencer Tart, Martin Wenzel, Kleinschmidt, David Wingfield, and Jonathan Schwartz is still able to maintain a top 10 even after some of the damage that he received. And as we look at these vehicles here, these are vehicles that took damage here 11th through 20th. These guys had a little bit of damage maybe right away. We saw unfortunate situation for Ryan Branch, Luke Short, Mike Lemon, all those three leaders kind of taking each other out there. As we go into the second race here at MoSports, we definitely look forward to maybe what Tater said, a little bit more patience from these guys. We want to see more cars fighting for it at the end, but this is the very first road course that we are broadcasting in the Dynasty Racing League. In these cars, in this series, like it's great to have these guys here, and hopefully they learn from it as we were just about ready to enter the second race. So what is going to happen, guys, is we are going to enter that second race. I'm going to put the DRL TV, the marquee up. The series or the stream will still be live, but it will be paused for just a few moments. So as we are getting set to transfer over to the second duel here, we will see you guys in just a few. So
outside contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
And welcome back, race fans, as we are set to practice here for the... Whoa! Good thing this is just practice. As we are set to practice here for the second duel here for the MoSports Duels. Duel 1 was very exciting, was very interesting. You could tell some of these guys maybe needed to come up with a different strategy. Here in just a moment, though, we're going to bring in Eric Weatherholtz, who is actually the administrator. He can speak to some of the fun things that are happening in the Indy series here, and we're going to speak with him in just a second. As we were watching practice, we have about 20 minutes of practice. We'll see these guys kind of get tuned up again. Some of these guys that were maybe sitting on pit road, such as Ryan Branch. We also have some newcomers in here. I see Eric Johnson, Christopher Pope. Some guys that didn't make it last time, and we're still looking for the other names, such as Brandon Dalton. Andrew Short actually will not make it into this race, but obviously a huge shout out to Andrew Short if he's at home right now. I believe he's definitely going to be sad that he missed these two races, because huge opportunities for points here. But again, life happens, and we wish Andrew Short the best and hope to see him next week at Texas, as we are getting set to have our second Crown Jewel event, as we will bring in Eric Weatherholtz here, and we're getting ready to talk with Eric here about that second Crown Jewel event and other things that are happening here in this beautiful series. Mr. Eric Weatherholtz, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Not awful. Again, my throat is a little sore, so I'm going to let you do as much talking as maybe you want to, as I set to rest my voice for another incredible 25 laps here. For that first race, what did you like and what didn't you like?
I did, and I didn't like the chaos.
Yeah, no, it was. That's a good word for it.
Yes, it was a good race. I definitely enjoyed it. A lot of guys are still learning, of course. But, yeah, the first lap, obviously I got a crown's eye view of everything, but there was, like, at least 5 or 6 guys that were off on the first lap. And that's why I decided to throw the caution, because I am manually controlling all the cautions for the road races. Just because I don't want every time someone spins around caution come out, because really IndyCar racing, they don't do that.
Yeah, no, as a race control, I know it's kind of hard to navigate one of these races. I mean, I've even spoke to some of the other race control guys that do the oval series, which you would think maybe might be easier than a road course because there's less area to cover. But even those guys, I mean, it's always hard to make that call that maybe will come back and, you know, it might change someone's race for better or for worse. But you seem to have, you know, always, you know, make the right call at the right times. And with the cautions, I guess, yeah, I mean, I couldn't even cover all the action. I had my camera set to crashes just to see kind of, as I'm maybe following the leader, it could jump back to the action. But my camera went all over the place because those first couple laps, these guys seemed to, they got really excited and they just wanted to go. So for the second one, do you anticipate maybe a little bit more patience?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we get a little bit more. I'm anticipating a little bit more. I don't know how many people are actually going to come up for this one, because I know there were a few people that said that they weren't going to be able to make both, sadly. But I'm hoping we come out about the same, because maybe we have more people, new faces in this one that wasn't in the first one. So we'll have to wait and see. So I mean, I'm guessing probably about at least 15.
Yeah, and again, maybe that's something that you can speak to. If any of the drivers that are interested in doing road course racing maybe are watching this broadcast, or maybe some of the drivers that, you know, are using that one experience to kind of judge road course racing as a whole. I mean, hopefully that's not the case, but we definitely love having these guys out here, and hopefully this broadcast is really showing these guys what road course racing is all about, how much fun you can have. Mike Springer, who has owned this car for 48 hours, comes out here and actually wins because he races a smart race. But forgetting about this race for a moment, I'd like to come back and maybe talk about the redemption races. Maybe like people like Ryan Branch are looking forward to racing this one and not getting taken out right away. We go to our next event, which will be at Texas for 200 beautiful laps in the Texas heat. Again, that is labeled a Crown Jewel event. Eric, if you want to maybe talk about Crown Jewel events.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got 4 Crown Jewels that are going to be happening this year. If you can win 3 of the 4, then you actually get entered to win another $25. So essentially, if you win Indianapolis, if you win the championship, and if you win 3 of the 4 Crown Jewels, you could walk away with $75 in your pocket. And iRacing, well, not in your pocket, but iRacing credits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might as well say in your pocket. But I mean, yeah, $75. So obviously, our winner last week obviously has the biggest chance to win it. Unfortunately, he's got to win 2 of the next 3 and make sure no one else does it.
Well,
and
if I remember correctly, we have Texas here. We've done Indy. There's 2 more. Is it Michigan and then Watkins Glen? I know Watkins Glen was one of them, I thought.
Correct. Michigan and Watkins Glen. The reason why for those is obviously real Indy racing. Obviously, the Indy 500, that's a no-duh. Then Texas, that's actually the longest race of their season because it's called the Rattlesnake 600. So we're not quite at 600, obviously. That would be 400 laps, but we got half of it, so it's going to be our longest race. And then they have the Michigan 400, which is obviously a really high speed. I mean, it's essentially going to be Talladega for these cars because there's so much downforce on them. So that's going to be fun to watch, especially I guarantee you're going to see 3, 4, and maybe even 5 wide in them turns. So I cannot wait for that race.
I mean, if anyone hasn't watched last week's broadcast, I definitely invite you to do so. Again, all previous broadcasts are posted here on our YouTube page for the Dynasty Racing League. But last week's race, we saw 2, 3, 4 wide in the corners at a essentially what is normally a one-groove track at Indianapolis. So it's incredible to see what they could do at a racetrack that normally is 2 or 3 wide, even in heavy stock cars. And then you add the fact that these cars are not those. They are much faster, and they can handle so much better. Yeah, I mean, 5 wide.
Tons of downforce.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be crazy watching that one again. That's not until a little bit later. We have Texas coming up, then we have the Milwaukee Mile, which is a unique track. Something that these guys...
It's a very good track for Indy cars, though, because of all the downforce that they have. But that and Gateway are really good tracks. So, like, if you're wondering, oh, I'm on the fence about maybe joining, I'm telling you, easiest obviously would be Texas, because you keep the floor down, you keep your pedal down the entire race until the tires start wearing off. But Milwaukee and Gateway are both really good tracks for you to be able to, like, all right, I'm going to have to lift. I'm going to have to use a little bit of brake. Those are really good tracks to get to learn. And I promise you, the guy that can't hold their foot down the longest will not win that race.
Yeah, and we saw earlier this year when we had a track that was similar to that at Phoenix, we had a great race. David Wright ended up passing Anthony Burroughs. I believe it was like within 5 laps to go there at the end. His tire wear became a factor. And, that ended up being an awesome race. But for this one here today, again, we're going to bring our focus back to the second duel. We're hoping that there's a little bit more patience. It seems like we have maybe even more cars here in the lobby. We have 17 cars that have registered a lap. There are more yet to do so, as names like Dustin Musil, James Pandoff, Eric Johnson, they weren't in that first one. Christopher Pope, now they're in the second one. And then we've also got that second tier of drivers, such as the Ryan Branches, Jonathan Schwartz, the guys that were fast, that are looking for redemption because there was 3 potential winners taken out in turn 10 there, as Luke Short got into the back of Mike Lemon, and Ryan Branch ended up getting damaged from that as well. And those 3 guys' races were over, and they were 1, 2, and 3. So, who do you think, again, as an administrator and also as a broadcaster for this league, you have to be biased, but name a couple names that you expect to see up front.
Well, obviously, first and foremost, you can't not mention our points leader. Then you got Matthew DePriest, you got Schwartz. Obviously, he's doing good. Springer, Jason Taylor, Spencer Tart. I mean, that's the one. I feel so bad for Spencer because he's even in our NASCAR series, he has just had the worst luck. So maybe he can get something going.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple guys that, myself included. Matter of fact, you and I were both really fast cars at a stock car race earlier this year, and we got tangled up. I actually ended up T-boning you. I believe that was at Kansas.
Yep.
Just luck hasn't been on some guys' side, but again, with this Thursday slot opening up, this is another opportunity for these guys to maybe get that bad juju off their back, because bad luck can only last so long. I feel like eventually it's got to go away. So hopefully,
yeah, I agree.
Hopefully those guys can turn it around here, as we still have 11 minutes left of practice. Again, more cars joining here, as Daniel Hallis has now become active in the server. Martin Wenzel. Christopher, Zachary Smith, but is there anything else here that you maybe want to mention? Something that a shout out of some sort, or just something that maybe I'm missing as far as what's involved here in the series coming up.
Well, obviously the most immediate thing that I'm worried about right now is our Texas 300 coming up next week. I know I've been talking a lot about it here lately. I can't help it because as good as the Indy 250 was, I'm telling you, we're going to see even more excitement at Texas, and even more when we get to Michigan. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of good racing coming up. Obviously, I can't thank all these guys that are showing up enough. I mean, obviously, we starting off a new series is never easy for any league, no matter how prestigious it is. So, I mean, at the end of the day, none of us are here if we don't have the people watching and we don't have the racers racing.
Yeah, no, and again, one last thing. If there's anyone watching that is interested, that's already in the league, all you have to do is contact Mr. Pandoff, and he will assign you a number, and you will be able to get in. We definitely need the road course coverage here. I mean, as you saw in the broadcast, it makes for an extremely exciting an exciting event to watch. Even though I can't even keep up with most of the action here, it's just an insane amount. But if you're watching and you're not in the league, all you have to do is go to www.dynastyracingleague.com. All you have to do is fill out a form. It's as easy as typing in your name, I believe, and just sending it off to James Pandolf. And again, he'll receive that. He's pretty prompt with his, getting back to other people, and you're in. It's just that easy. There's a couple of requirements I think you have to meet as far as like I rating goes. It's nothing crazy. You don't need a 4,000 I rating to race here. But if you're an experienced road course racer, we want you.
Yeah, actually, I don't think you have to have an I rating unless you're in the Cup Series. I think that's the only one that requires an I rating of some sort,
sure.
Or at least some sort of like let me watch you race or something.
Yeah, and we're not even halfway through this season yet. This is only event 8 of 20, I believe. Is it 20 events that we have this year in the Indy Series?
Yeah, 20 events altogether. Tonight does count as 2, but yeah, I mean, 20 rounds the entire season. So a little bit more than the regular IndyCar series, but they also cut out a few tracks that I don't think they should have.
Well, I mean, with it being your series, you can literally do whatever you want. But my
Isn't it nice?
I know, isn't it? My point being, there's still half of the season at least to go. So if you're interested, please join us. Again, I want to broadcast these guys. I want to see this race, see this racing here, and I know Eric wants to see everyone come out that wants to. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't. So if you have the time, you have the car, come out and race with us. As you can tell, it's been a very exciting first duel, and we will probably also have a very exciting second duel, as it looks like, as you anticipated, Eric, we will have just about the same turnout here. 21 cars so far that have joined up and put a time down.
Very nice. And also, another thing that I did on purpose with this series is because every other series that we have has a playoff type system where there's cutoff and rounds and all that stuff. And I made this one like this on purpose because, I mean, you have 2 different variants if you decide to go with one or the other. Obviously, IndyCar, whoever has the most points at the end of the season is the champion. Mm-hmm. Obviously, our NASCAR series are a little different, but they're both good for it. They complement each other very well.
Well, again, in its sister series or its sister type series, Formula One, there is no playoff series. You just run the races, and whoever was the best that year wins. It's again, we model our oval series after what the current real life series is doing, and I absolutely love what you've done here, and it's great racing. You kind of it allows you to kind of maybe have a mulligan or 2, but otherwise you need to be pretty consistent if you want to get finish top 3 in the points at the end of the year and get part of that purse. But I'm looking here, and one of the stories here is Andrew Short and Brandon Dalton both absent from both of these as of right now. So this is a huge opportunity for some of these other guys to jump up and take that lead from these people, especially Matthew DePriest. So something to look forward to, Eric. Again, is there anyone else, anything else that you want to say, maybe give a shout out to before we head into qualifying here?
No, I just got once again can't thank these guys enough. I appreciate them for showing up. Appreciate everyone for watching. Obviously, you Getty for putting on the broadcast for us. Obviously, none of us would be watching if it wasn't for that. And all the series. Obviously, I'm a truck series driver. So, I mean, everyone that I race with in the truck series, I appreciate them. I love watching the Grand National and the Cup Series. Obviously, if anyone out there wants to come in and sponsor the IndyCar Series for next year or for the rest of this season, more than welcome to. I'm definitely listening for those. But for the most part, we're just out here having fun. If you want to have fun and you want to play some iRacing, hit us up.
Yeah, and again, the easiest way that I can think to do that is to just go to our website, www.dynastyracingleague.com. It's it's spelled as it sounds. No weird spelling, like no weird apostrophes or anything, is dynastyracingleague.com. Type it up and fill in a form, or try to reach out to one of the administrators or our owners here if sponsorship is something that you're interested in. Of course, we're always looking for more support to help grow this league and help grow this series. Again, Eric, I thank you for your time. If there's something during the broadcast, during the race that I'm missing, please pop in, especially maybe under a yellow if I wasn't fully aware of what the yellow was for. Again, with all the action on this track, it's almost 3 miles long. I'm definitely going to miss a thing or two, so you're more than welcome to pop in at any time and help the broadcast out there, Eric.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely will probably pop in under every yellow. I got to have something to do anyways, right?
Yeah, again, any help is a good thing, because again, I know I'm going to miss something. I'm sure I missed several things last race. So thank you, Eric Weatherholtz, for all that you do and for starting up the series. And we'll see you either later in this broadcast or certainly in the next one as we head to Texas.
Thank you, sir. Have a fun time watching this one.
Oh, it's going to be a great one. I'm going to move you down here to SE Racing here, Eric, and so have a great one. And again, that was Eric Weatherholtz. He is the mastermind behind this thing. He had the stones to approach the owners here and say, hey, you know what, you guys have 3 stock car series. That's more than plenty. Let's do something else. And I can say, as of today, it's been a huge success. We have an enormous turnout here on these road courses, which I know for the past couple broadcasts, I've really been trying to promote it. Not because I don't think we have the talent in the league that we have. It's just these guys, you just need to know about it, and they also need to know that you don't need to be a stud to come out here. We saw several different strategies last race as far as leaders being aggressive with their lap times. We saw some of the guys hanging back, like the Martin Wenzels, who easily got a top 10 because he kept his car clean. And then, of course, we saw the unfortunate crowd that got either caught up in their own stuff or caught up in someone else's and got too much damage to continue. But again, I'm looking for some of those names like Mike Lemon, Ryan Branch to really come through and, kind of have that event where they can show up and be like, hey, if I wouldn't have got damaged last race, I would have finished very well. So hopefully they can come in here and do what they do, and that's put down consecutive fast laps here and just let it all hang out. Again, just as the same size of field as we had last time, 21 cars and drivers. We're going to take a quick commercial break here, race fans, as we are heading into qualifying in just a minute or two, and then we will go right into the race and complete 25 more laps here at MoSports Park.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
One thing I did notice.
And welcome
All right,
back,
man,
race fans. Oh, and there's Eric Weatherholtz. Welcome back, race fans, as we are coming back here from commercial break and getting ready to enter qualifying now. See who can put this fast lap down. And just as we are doing that, I definitely wanted to quick speak to one driver in particular that I've brought up a few times. I wanted to speak to Mr. Ryan Branch, who we have in here. Oh my goodness, speaking is hard. As we have him in here with us, Mr. Ryan Branch. What are you looking forward to for this next duel?
Not having a car get plowed in front of me. I mean, that would be ideal. I don't know. I feel like I have a good car out here. Consistency-wise, I'm probably one of the better cars on the track. I put in a lot of practice this week. My first road course ever, honestly. I've never really raced a road course, and I did put in some effort trying to get decent at it. So consistency-wise, I think I've got most of the field beat. I think I can spin 25 laps here without getting wrecked out. But that last race, Luke Short was following him right on his bumper for 2-3 laps, and sometimes you just either back off the guy or you just gotta send it in one of those corners and get the pass. And the place he tried to do it, or I don't know what happened there. It wasn't the right place. I came around that corner and they were both in my face, and I couldn't get out of the way fast enough.
Yeah, obviously trying to make a pass coming through those S's into turn 10 there is never, ideal, of course. It looked like Lemon maybe got a little slow. Luke didn't react fast enough. And, of course, you didn't have really anywhere to go at all. So I'm hoping that you get your shot at redemption. I just wanted to speak to you real quick. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Good luck on qualifying, and hopefully we speak to you at the end of this race here, Ryan.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, man.
All right. Well, have a great one.
Thanks.
Again, that was speaking with Ryan Branch. We still have 8 minutes to qualify here. So far, we're looking at some of these guys. I would expect Ryan Branch to probably be somewhere up there as far as qualifying goes, as he was in the first duel as well at MoSports Park. Eric.
I'm sorry. I'm very nitpicky.
That's okay. I'm trying to jam a million words into a sentence here, so sometimes I mix a few up. Again, my apologies. But yeah, MoSports Park. It's funny because I was doing a little bit of research before the broadcast, and it's very obvious that it is motor and sports crammed together. You think I would be able to figure that out, Eric, but maybe not. Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was.
None of us are perfect. It's okay.
Again, sitting here watching Ryan Branch put down a lap or two with a pretty sharp paint scheme, too, as we are actually going to ride on board for his quick lap here. As he's entering turn 1, getting ready to enter that awesome Clayton corner here in turn 2, that sweeping left-hander into Quebec corner here in turn 3. And then you kind of get to take it easy here as you head up the hill to the Moss corner, which again is equally as treacherous as any other turn that I can imagine in motorsports, as it's 2 turns into 1. As you can see it approaching it now, you've got 1 turn here, but you have to use this 1 turn to set up the next turn, which is even sharper as you head up and want as much speed as possible as you head on to the Andretti straightaway and enter the S's. You can see, listen to him get through the gears here, and just kind of looking like a monster lap so far as he enters the S's. And coming out of here, you will enter into White's corner, which, as we've seen, can be treacherous. And he will get to the start-finish line. Really no issues there on that lap. It looked pretty fast. We'll see kind of what it is. And that is a good 6th place so far. Can't really complain with that, as Chris Stouffer has actually currently put down the fastest lap by a pretty significant margin here, as it looks like maybe the pace has slowed down, or maybe these guys are on their 2nd lap. I'm not sure, but running a 103 flat here, as the qualifying time in the first duel was actually almost 101. Mike Springer ran a 102 flat. It looks like Ryan Branch will not be improving on that lap time, but he probably will start somewhere within the top 10 here, as we're going to look at Eric Johnson try to turn a lap here and see what he can do.
Yeah, I will say for some of these drivers, we do race at this track in the truck series. So going to be some good practice, even though it's completely different beasts, because the rear end gets very happy in the trucks here.
Well, and I mean, part of it is just, I mean, I've run, okay, I mean, let's just take Daytona, for example, the road course. I've run that road course on a million different cars, but each time you take something away that you can maybe use, like I run in, I've run it in the Kia, and I can actually take something from the Kia and use it maybe in the GT3 series. Just kind of like a random thing that you pick up, maybe something that you can do in this corner or this corner here. So just reps on the track. And again, some of these guys have already raced here in those trucks, so they have, a little bit of, kind of what to expect here. But of course, with this IR18 being a new release, and some of these guys, like Mike Springer, who just bought it just the other day, getting some cockpit time in these cars is obviously important, but hopefully they're a little bit more familiar with this racetrack. But one thing that's exciting as we head into some of these other road courses, it's going to be the more well-known road courses. Instead of places like Barber and Laguna Seca, which some people may have never really gone to, we're entering places that are extremely popular, such as Road America, which will be our next road course, and then we will head to Montreal, we'll head to Watkins Glen, we'll head to Sonoma, places that people I know have been to several times. So we're starting to hit that road course area where these guys are more familiar with the tracks that we're visiting.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Watkins Glen, that's going to be a fun race in these cars. Probably one of the best races I watched all of 2017 in real life was the Verizon IndyCar Series at the Glen. So, yeah, that's going to be a great race to watch. I can't wait to see that one. In Sonoma, that's always a tricky track. So no matter who's on that track, it's going to challenge every single person from the best to the worst.
Yeah, no, Sonoma has that's one of those tracks, like, I consider myself an adequate road racer. I'm not great. I'm not awful. I'm adequate. I can certainly fight for top 5 sometimes. If I play my strategy right, I can get a victory. Especially in official races, I've gotten several victories on road courses. And but Sonoma has always been one that I've just always been uncomfortable at. And no matter what the layout is, I've raced it a million times on Xbox, on PlayStation, playing NASCAR online and all that stuff. Just, I can't get it. And it kind of bums me out because that's almost like the one track that I just can't conquer. It's so tight, so technical, and in these IR18s, I imagine it's going to be pretty tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you say that because I've always had trouble with that track too, because uncomfortable is a perfect word for it. But I remember back in, I want to say it was NASCAR racing 2002 or something like that. That was actually the first race, the first track that I ever sat down, was like, you know what, I'm doing a 100% real NASCAR race here. And that helped me out quite a bit, actually. Obviously, the physics from back then is nothing compared to now, so I probably need to do it again to get comfortable again. But that helped tremendously, being able to sit there and do that and just force myself to turn 90 laps there.
Yeah, I mean even as I've played it on NASCAR, I've played it on Forza, I've played it on iRacing, I've played it on Gran Turismo, and that's just one where I go there and I'm like, my goal is to finish. I mean, that's as good as it can get for me sometimes at Sonoma, but
we all wish for that.
But and then we go to places like Watkins Glen, where I feel like that's almost like Charlotte. Everyone feels like they have an opportunity to do well at Charlotte because everyone's raced it. It's not, as far as road courses go, Watkins Glen isn't that hard. Charlotte's not that hard of an oval. So, I almost compare the two as being something, they're almost like sisters. Where Watkins Glen, a lot of people have turned a lot of laps there in a lot of different vehicles. And, they come in there with a little bit of confidence. And, it's definitely so much different from Sonoma. I feel like a lot more people are almost, they share our opinion of Sonoma than they would with Watkins Glen or even Road America, which is on the NASCAR schedule for the Cup Series. I believe the Grand National Series goes there, but certainly exciting.
Yeah, the
road
Grand
courses
National
coming
and Cup.
Cup does go to Road America. Wow, I I need to.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you said Glenn. No, Road America is just the Grand National Series. That's my fault.
No, that's fine. I just making sure.
Well, we got about 2 minutes before we start, so I'm gonna let you do your thing up here. I will definitely pop in during cautions, just give you a heads up and tell you what was going on. But have a lot of fun, and I can't wait to rewatch this broadcast later.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric, and I appreciate your time. And it looks like our pole sitter was Christopher. So I mean, good on him. He was the last person that we interviewed, as he finished third in the last duel. I'm not sure if he's available for an interview, but we'll certainly take a little bit of a commercial break here as we are getting ready to pace and start for this, what is going to be incredibly exciting second duel, guys. This is going to be great. So we will see you in just a few moments.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be into the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are just about set to go green here, halfway through this initial pace lap here. As I will set, turn this grid on here, you can see Jonathan Schwartz, Spencer Tart, oh my goodness, third and fourth, Mike Lemon, Mike Springer, who won the last race there. Now, one of the things that we're going to be looking for this race is maybe a little bit of a calmer start, as some, you know, we saw a lot of leaders actually get taken out in that first dual race, actually within some of the first laps there. So something that we definitely don't want to see, as these guys are on their way down in Andretti's straightaway here. Again, we have a field of about 21 cars, and I'll tell you, it's tight. It's tight racing. We had 20 last race, I believe. So it's gonna be tight quarters here when we start this race, as we are getting ready to go green here. And we will be trying to follow our leader Christopher in this first lap. Again, trying to trying to follow as much action as I possibly can. And it is green flag racing as Christopher dives it down into turn 1. Jonathan Schwartz, Matthew Priest, Mike Lemon, Mike Springer all behind, and we actually, ooh, contact there.
The yellow flag is out.
Spencer Tart, my goodness, there's cars flying all over the place back here as we have got to see what happened here. We're going to pause this. We're going to go to a little bit better view here as we are on board with Spencer Tart. Oh man, collecting, I believe that's Tater Bowman there, and running over his wing just for good measure here, as it looks like we have lost 2, 3, 4, 5 vehicles all in the middle of that pack there. Very unfortunate start for guys like Tater Bowman, Jason Taylor, Spencer Tart. Man, very unfortunate there, as Dustin Musil looks like he might be a victim as well. Spencer Tart's vehicle, as soon as he drives down the pit, I anticipate he will get a message saying that he has too much damage to continue. As, again, very unfortunate series of events. Wow. Very unfortunate for those drivers. Again, the start of these races are proving to be very, very chaotic, I guess, if you will. Very unfortunate for Tater Bowman, who seemed to be just an innocent bystander there. It looks like 5 or 6 cars were definitely received probably significant damage, if not more, receiving maybe some sort of damage. Again, I feel sorry for Spencer Tart. Hopefully he's able to get enough. Oh, I don't know. That's not looking good, Spencer. I don't think we will see Spencer Tart out here again. As I might try to maybe bring Spencer Tart in for an interview, but again, with the luck that he's had today, it might be best to let him cool off, as 5, 6, 7, 8 cars could have received damage from that.
Hey, Getty. I don't know if you have a second. I don't know if you happened to watch that caution, but that one kind of hurt.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was watching it. I saw Spencer Tart kind of fly off, and I saw, people like Tater Bowman. We must have lost 6 or 7 cars there off that start, just heading into that turn 2 there. Did you catch exactly maybe what started it? Is it just cold tires on these Indy cars?
It might have been a little bit, but from my view, it looked like the 28 and the 55 were just trying to take over the same real estate. Obviously, there's only big enough space for one car in a one-car space, so when you go wheel to wheel on each other, it's kind of hard for them to keep control. It stinks that a small little thing like that was able to take out the 40 and the 83, because those were both really good cars too, along with the 28.
I mean, those were top 5 finishers from our last duel, and again, Matthew DePriest and Spencer Tart, they're no strangers to contact, as they made contact in the opening lap on in the first duel as well. So one thing that we're learning from this road course broadcast, as we enter other broadcasts for road courses in the future, is maybe a little bit more patience on these opening laps.
And it's a hard thing to tell these guys too, because especially with restarts being single file and only having 25 laps, it's like you're ready to go. I'm like, all right, I gotta go, I gotta pass some guys. But at the same time, when you're starting in the top 5, you gotta be patient. But it looks like we got one to go. I just wanted to pop in real quick, and you continue having fun watching this show.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I'm probably gonna miss a lot of action out there, because I got to cover the whole 10 turns of this 3-mile track here. As we're looking at David Wingfield, who maybe had to get some damage fixed. I'm not exactly sure. He looked like he was a pretty quick pit stop, so it might have been just him trying to get some fresh tires. David Wingfield was one of our podium finishers from last week's Indy race, kind of a surprise finisher there on the podium after an almost controversial finish there involving 2 of the top 5 drivers there, kind of having a brain fart. So, and both of those drivers, interestingly enough, are not present in this race due to, life issues. I know from Mr. Short and Brandon Dalton as well. Obviously, they are missed, as they are 2 mainstays in this series. But as we were going back up front here to Chris Stouffer, Eric, again, I appreciate you coming in and kind of breaking down some of these accidents for us. I mean, continue to do that if there's cautions or whatever that I miss. Please.
Absolutely, and if we don't get any, I may pop in case. So just in case, I may pop in here and there.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, man. Have fun.
Yeah, of course. Now, I'm looking at a very interesting thing right now. Ryan Branch has been... No. Did he get involved in a... Was he also involved in that incident? Oof. Oh, no. And Ryan Branch seems to have, received enough damage to park his vehicle. As we are going green here, Chris Stouffer, Jonathan Schwartz, Matthew DePriest rounding out your top three. Again, we lost a lot of competitive cars on that first incident here as the single file restart here will probably promote a little bit better racing as we are only lap 4 of 25. Chris Stouffer, Jonathan Schwartz, Matthew DePriest, Mike Lemon, and Mike Springer round out your top 5. It looks like one car off course back there. Who was that? That seemed to be Martin Wenzel. Again, that's a shame for Martin Wenzel as we will try to... As he is now headed to pit road as well. A lot of competitive guys are starting to drop here in the early goings of the second duel. Chris Stouffer and Jonathan Schwartz, Matthew DePriest, as they are up front here, battling it out. We're on board with Chris Stouffer, kind of seeing how he is going to navigate the Canadian Tire Park here as he has just exited turn 1 and entering into Clayton Corner there. Now into Quebec Corner, which again is interesting. These are very interesting corners here as you head up the hill to turn 4 and 5. The Moss Corner, of course, being the more notable one of the two. And it seems that now that these tires have gotten a little bit warmed up, you can see these guys definitely not struggling for grip as much, as that has been a huge issue. Maybe something that these guys they weren't ready for. They might have not been ready for the fact that these cold tires are just absolutely just a nightmare to run on. You need to get a little bit of heat into them. You need to run a couple laps on them before you can start being aggressive and taking off positions here. But again, a lot of drivers have already dropped because of that first incident involving Spencer Tart. Drivers such as Ryan Branch, Jason Taylor, Chris James, Spencer Tart, Tater Bowman, Dustin Musil are now out of the race. All of those drivers were more than competitive enough to be fighting for this lead here. So we will see kind of what Chris Stouffer, Jonathan Schwartz, maybe see what these guys can do as they take advantage of the fact that some of their fastest competitors are no longer racing. We are riding with Jonathan Schwartz here now as he is trying to chase Chris Stouffer. And again, he started third. He qualified well. He's currently running well as he is maintaining that 4/10 to half a second gap here to Chris Stouffer. As we watch him go down Andretti straightaway here, and you can see on his steering wheel more than tapped out on his rev limiter. And again, now one of the things that were brought up during the pre-race of this one, speaking with Ryan Branch, the S's in turn 10 can be deceivingly tricky. So, that's one of the things that, another thing that he spoke about was trying to plan your passes here as Jonathan Schwartz is chasing Chris Stouffer down. How much of him is focusing on the track, but how much of him is also trying to set up that potential pass here. We are only lap 7 of 25, so is he waiting for Chris Stouffer to mess up, or is he actually going to be aggressive and try to go for that pass? As Matthew DePriest, these top 3 have really broke away from the likes of Mike Lemon and Eric Johnson here, as everyone's just about pretty spaced out after that very incredibly chaotic first lap there. Mr. Pandolf and David Wingfield both have decided to enter the pits here. That is certainly not a scheduled pit stop for James Pandolf, as it looks like he has received damage of some sort. I'll certainly see if I can go back. We are riding along with Mr. Pandolf here, just kind of minding his own business. Ooh, trying to do the gentleman thing, trying to avoid Mr. Robbie Armstrong there, and it actually ends up messing him up. So in the process of being a true gentleman, James Pandolf actually ends up taking himself out of the race, as we are trying to go back up front here, which is battle for the lead between Jonathan Schwartz and Chris Stouffer. Just Chris Stouffer could have won last week's race. Jonathan Schwartz did win last week's race. So again, very disappointing for James Pandolf, who ended up in a single spin avoiding a car ahead of him. That's a shame when you see that, someone trying to check up for another and they end up taking themselves out of the race. Huge shout out to James Pandolf. He could have done more damage to Robbie Armstrong, but he didn't. So I don't really know what more to say about that, as we watch Jonathan Schwartz and Chris Stouffer still battle it out. This is an incredible race here, again, between he and Chris Stouffer. Chris Stouffer was our points leader, and if you look at that best lap, guys, 101.9. That is absolutely incredible. That is the fastest lap that we have seen besides Jonathan Schwartz's 101.7. That would be a track record in real life by at least 2 or 3 seconds. The track record here is 104. So these guys are putting on a blistering pace here, as Jonathan Schwartz is still maintaining that 0.4 of a second gap. As we will kind of go back here in the back of the pack, as Robbie Armstrong, has caught Eric Johnson, and Mike Springer has caught Robbie Armstrong. I'm sure after this broadcast, Robbie Armstrong will actually take that Robbie Gordon thing as a compliment, as he's known as a pretty good racer in real life. Robbie Armstrong, of course, he is the one with us, as we actually have 2 matching blue cars here with us today. Looks like Robbie Armstrong. Ooh, oh no! He and Mike Springer both actually end up getting into each other just a little bit. We are on board. We are re-watching that incident between those 2 vehicles. That will happen here at the end of this first sector. You can see him catching. All 4 of these cars were just right next to each other. We are again on board with Mike Springer, last race's winner. We're trying to see kind of what happened here, as you can see him. He catches Robbie Armstrong coming in this corner. Again, that's the Quebec corner. Not really known for being that treacherous, as they are heading up the hill, turn 4 and 5. Moss Corner, of course, always no shortage of excitement there, and it takes 2 more victims, as hopefully neither one of those guys have too much damage. They are both still on the track, of course. As we're going to go back up front here to... Actually, Mike Lemon seems to have had an issue as well now. Oh no, he just hit the bumps. Again, Moss Corner, another victim, as Mike Lemon didn't receive much damage, but he did end up spinning out and losing that position, as Jonathan Schwartz and Chris Stouffer still maintain a 0.3 of a second gap between 1 and 2. This is just absolutely incredible. As we are looking back from Chris Stouffer's vehicle to that patriotic-themed vehicle of Jonathan Schwartz, as they have now gapped Matthew DePriest by almost 4 seconds. Heading down that very long straightaway, Jonathan Schwartz, of course, using as much downforce or the draft as much as he can to try to stay in tow here with Chris Stouffer through the S's as they enter the White's corner coming to the start-finish line. Now I will take this opportunity to kind of go back through the field. Mike Lemon, it seems that he has kind of rebounded nicely, sitting there in 7th. Not too much damage there. I did see a little bit of damage there in the car ahead of him, Mr. Christopher Pope, as Casey Drake seems to have gone off course. No harm, no foul there. A little bit of front-end damage, but again, you can kind of get away with a little bit of damage here. As I'm also watching a newcomer of Eric Keplinger. We were look at his info here. He started almost dead last. Currently, within the top 10 here. If I'm not mistaken, he and Robbie Armstrong have the same paint scheme, and something again has happened to Robbie Armstrong as he's taking his car to the pits. Another points regular here has bit the dust as Chris Stouffer, Jonathan Schwartz, Matthew Dupree still round out your top 3. New additions to the top 5 are Eric Johnson and Mike Springer. Again, before we saw that damaged car of Robbie Armstrong, we were following along here with Eric Keplinger, who seems to be just kind of running his own race here, just trying to be nice and conservative. Again, well within the top 10 here as we have 9 cars on the lead lap. Daniel House being the first car 1 lap down. As we look on board here with Daniel House, trying to set up Moss's corner again. Several different strategies to do it, taking it wide, cutting it short, but one thing you don't want to do is hit those rumble strips, as we have seen several cars go around on that corner 5 and 6 there. Now as we head back up front here, it looks like Chris Stouffer has pulled out from Jonathan Schwartz by about a second now, as the 4th place is almost 20 seconds back, so this is certainly a battle within the top 3 here, as even Matthew Dupree now is about 6 seconds back of these 2 drivers here. So right now, these 2 have certainly been the class of the pack, I guess is what you want to call it. But of course, that is only after losing several competitive drivers on lap 1. As a reminder, we lost at least 7 vehicles as Spencer Tart and Matthew Dupree got together. We're losing Spencer Tart, Tater Bowman, Dustin Musil, Zach Smith, Jason Taylor, Ryan Branch, Kenneth Lehman, and Martin Wenzel. We lost him a little bit later on a different incident. So you never want to see that many cars get chewed up so close into a race, as Casey Drake is now hit pit road. That certainly could be scheduled for him. Trying to get some fresh tread on these on this IndyCar here, as they have 16 laps on them, and you can certainly start to feel the effects of tire wear, as Tater Bowman mentioned at the end of our last duel, that these cars definitely started getting pretty loose the more wear that they got on these tires. And now Jonathan Schwartz has reeled Chris Stouffer in by about a half a second, so a little bit of back and forth between these 2 drivers, as one driver seems to be doing well for one part of the stint, and then the other driver just comes right back. So this is a tremendous battle for the lead here. Again, a live look here at Eric Keplinger, who will be blue flagged here, and will let these leaders race it out here. No contest as they dive down into turn 1 and head for Clayton's corner here. Now, one of the things that you got to be thinking about if you're Jonathan Schwartz is, where do I pass this guy? He has obviously several laps to think about it, but at some point he's going to be running out of patience, because he lost a second to him. Ooh, as a lapped car almost got in the way of these 2 vehicles. He did lose a second. He was a second behind Chris Stouffer, but he gained a ton of time on him in a short amount of time here. So, I mean, you can see him just get a little bit loose there, and now he's going to go back down, and he's going to have to chase down Chris Stouffer again. As we will actually, pardon me, we'll actually re-look at that and see kind of what was happening there. We were looking out the back end of his of Jonathan Schwartz's vehicle, and just a little bit too much throttle. You can tell the tire wear is definitely starting to play a factor here. Hitting that throttle just a little bit too hard on exit. You don't have the same amount of tread that you had when you started this race as they are now 18 laps in, and these have been 18 hard-fought laps. It's not like these guys are really taking it easy, as they are still setting a blistering pace. Christopher with a 102.6, which is still faster than what he qualified in, as he qualified with a 103. So these guys are still faster than qualifying pace right now, which is just insane to me, as this race has become a little bit more spread out here, as it looks like Daniel Hallis again, his our ninth place car here, again just letting all the cars go by. We will actually ride on board with Daniel Hallis. And wouldn't you know it, turn 5 and 6 take another victim. I think we've just about lost count there, as Daniel Hallis just hit the throttle maybe a little bit too soon. Going back up front here, though, we follow along with Jonathan Schwartz, Chris Stouffer, and I'm going to run back here through the field as we are following Matthew DePriest, who has a fairly clean car. I'm not exactly sure where he and Spencer Tart made the contact, but whatever it is, it hasn't really affected Matthew DePriest's car all that much. Now looking behind him, we have Eric Johnson, who was not here for the first duel, and now has come in here and is well within the top 5, holding on to a 5th position by more than 4 seconds over Mike Springer. Eric Johnson again showing what he can do. He also had a very disappointing Indy finish, as he was taken out by Brandon Dalton in the closing laps of that the Indy 250. Looking back here to Mike Springer, our winner of stage 1, I believe. A little bit of that damage there on that front wing hasn't slowed him down enough to affect a solid finish right now. Again, well within the top 5. He's 12 seconds ahead of Chris Pope, who, if I remember correctly, also had a little bit of front-end damage, as we were looking at the very patriotic scheme of Chris Pope. Again, he was not part of this first duel either, but he has come out here, and again, hats off to these drivers that are coming out here and supporting the Indy Series and coming out here on these road courses, which is never easy. I anticipate that we'll have decent turnout at Road America, which is generally a easier track probably for some of these guys just because they have run it so many times. Canadian Tire might not be the case. Now looking back at Mike Lemon, who also has the same blue car as Mike Springer here, turning laps at a consistent pace, doesn't seem to have too much damage. Looking back here at Eric Keplinger again, well within the top 10, just kind of running his own race. And then our, he is the first car 1 lap down, as we again look at Daniel Hallis, who has become 2 laps down now, but is well within 9th, and that's a good points day for Mr. Hallis, who has been attending the Indy Series regularly. Now we go back up front here to Jonathan Schwartz, Chris Stouffer. Chris Stouffer has maintained that gap over Jonathan Schwartz here. About 1.4 seconds, 1.5 seconds, as we do only have 5 laps to go. And with the laps that these are running, I mean, that's only 5 minutes of racing here, you guys, as Chris Stouffer is looking to hold off maybe a late charge here from Jonathan Schwartz, depending on how much tread is left on those tires there. As we have seen, he's already had issues accelerating out of these corners. We are currently riding on board with Jonathan Schwartz, the closest competitor to Chris Stouffer right now. Trying to make his way through the S's. He's got to find a way to gain some time here on Chris Stouffer. But, oh no, Jonathan Schwartz has actually lost it. We will look, and he does have some rear wing damage. That is going to affect his handling. If he does not realize that he has rear wing damage, he will spin again, guaranteed. And if you remember correctly, Jonathan Schwartz actually ended up having an incident on Clayton Corner last duel, and it cost him a shot at a top, a top finishing position here. Tough break for Jonathan Schwartz. I'm trying to ride along with him to see how his car is now handling. One good measuring stick will be as he enters the S's here. Those high-speed turns. We'll see what kind of handling issues he has now with that bench rear wing. And as expected, Jonathan Schwartz again just kind of pushing as hard as he can to try to maintain that position here. If he's not careful, Matthew DePriest will catch him, as Matthew DePriest now is looking to maintain or to gain a position. This would be huge for Matthew DePriest, as he is the only driver in the top 3 in points that has showed up for not one but both of these duels, as Andrew Short, our points leader, and Brandon Dalton, second place, have missed both of these duels, and this is actually considered two separate events, even though this is the same broadcast. So Matthew DePriest looking to maintain a decent points day, even though he might have lost an opportunity to grab a win here tonight. Again, following Matthew DePriest and Jonathan Schwartz, Chris Stouffer is 18 seconds ahead of Jonathan Schwartz. So pending an issue with Chris Stouffer, the battle right now is for second and third, as Matthew DePriest is trying to chase down the damaged vehicle of Jonathan Schwartz. That last time by, Jonathan Schwartz was actually just a little bit faster. So that damage maybe not affecting him as much as I anticipated it would have. As we are watching him enter Quebec corner here, turn 3. Now these high-speed corners I anticipated is where he would be struggling the most, but it seems as he has found a way to make that car work for him. As Matthew DePriest is still 2.2 seconds back of Jonathan Schwartz. Looking at Matthew DePriest, started second, has only lost one position, but he was a name involved in that first lap incident with Spencer Tart and several others, and it's very heartbreaking for those several other drivers. As we are now hit the final lap here, as we will ride along with Chris Stouffer until if something happens with second place, we will definitely go back to that battle. But right now, looking at Chris Stouffer, started first, finished first, as it runs currently. Similar results with Mike Springer in the first duel, where he started first and ended up finishing first. So a great day to be a pole sitter, I guess, as Chris Stouffer entering that Moss corner one last time, and I'm sure he's happy to see it in his rearview mirror, entering the Mario Andretti straightaway, as he will enter the S's and White's corner and one last time. Matthew DePriest, just to keep you updated, has lost a little bit of time to Jonathan Schwartz, so pending a spin of some sort, Matthew DePriest will not be catching him, as the top 5 has remained the same the last lap or so. So Chris Stouffer will take this win. Jonathan Schwartz will end up finishing second, even after that incredible damage that he took within 5 laps to go there, as he was chasing down the leader Chris Stouffer, as he now rounds through the S's. But the biggest benefactor of this racing session has definitely been Matthew DePriest, and the amount of points that he's been able to gain. He is guaranteed to be the points leader after this race, as he has finished podium. Eric Johnson, Mike Springer entering with the last corner here. So he will end up with 2 top 5s, Mike Springer will. Mike Lemon, Chris Pope, Eric Keplinger will finish 8th, and Octavio Silveira and David Wingfield will round out your top 10. David Wingfield, again, out here just having a good old time. But, of course, we turn our attention to Chris Stouffer. Jonathan Schwartz and Matthew DePriest will be the guys that we try to interview at the end of this race. What an incredible run, though, you guys. I mean, that was the show that I was expecting. Again, you never want to see the the head count on that first caution there. You never want to see that happen. We lost so many fast competitors, but Chris Stouffer, I mean, he was already a podium finisher from the last race. He was already the fastest qualifier. So even if those guys hadn't wiped out, it's possible that the outcome, as far as the winner goes, would not have changed as Chris Stouffer lights them up. And we will actually try to bring in Chris Stouffer, if possible, here for just one more interview. Hey, Chris Stouffer, you got a copy?
Yeah.
Hey, we talked to you at the end of the last race. You know, you wanted to stay near the front. You want to stay consistent, but you did more than that, sir. You got the pole here. I believe you led every lap, and you put on a show for us. So, does this surprise you at all? Did you expect this result coming into the second duel here?
Honestly, I didn't. I didn't know what to expect because I haven't raced with these guys on the road yet. I had to take a hiatus from the league for the last month, and so yeah, I had no idea what the pace was going to be. And then when I put that lap down, that was the fastest lap I've ran all night. So don't ask where that came from, but I mean, Jonathan definitely gave me every bit of it that he could there, though. He even challenged me at one point. I mean, it was a tough race. I think he either was running close on fuel or used some push passes or something, because I knew when that caution came out, we were really close to making it. I was trying to conserve there, but he was not letting me. He was all over me there.
Yeah, no, you guys put on quite a battle for the broadcast. After that first caution, we lost a lot of competitive drivers, so it kind of seemed like it was really between you two after that, and you guys separated yourself from the rest of the pack, and it was a great finish. Obviously, we spoke with you on the last broadcast, or at the end of the last race, so, not really too much more to talk about. I just want to give you an opportunity to, shout out to anyone here that might be watching the broadcast.
I'll give a shout out to my wife and kids. I love you, and thanks for letting me do this. I appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for the James and everybody putting this league on and getting this going. It's a lot of fun.
Well, Chris Stouffer, again, congratulations on that dominating performance. You and Jonathan put on quite a show for that. You guys were battling within tenths of each other for several laps in a row. Hopefully we can see you going forward. We have Texas next week, Milwaukee Mile, and then we will be visiting, I believe it's Road America. So a lot of fun racing ahead of us. Chris Stouffer, we hope to see you. Anything else that you have to say, sir?
No, looking forward to next week. I think I'll be there for Texas for sure. And, we'll see how it goes.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time and appreciate you putting on such a performance.
Well, thanks for having me.
No, anytime. And that again was our race winner, Mr. Chris Stouffer, as we will now speak to Jonathan Schwartz. Jonathan Schwartz, this is the booth. You got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, as much as you might just get bored with doing well in races, it seems like that's just all you do. We spoke with you last week as the race winner. You won Charlotte in the Cup Series. You've been winning in the Truck Series. You've even had a win squandered from you. One at Kansas, one at Dover, and you're just winning everywhere you go. So here you didn't quite get the win. Tell us kind of what happened there as you were following Chris Stouffer.
Me and Chris were just having a ton of fun. I was pushing the whole race, just hoping to stay close to him in case he made a mistake. But he drove one heck of a race tonight, and when I come to those races every week, I just like to be competitive and have fun. If the window opens to grab a win, I'll definitely take it. But tonight, Chris was a little faster, so just had a lot of fun tonight racing with the guys. And, get on to the Texas race next week.
Yeah, and of course, obviously a little thing that you need to pay attention to is, since you won Indy, you have races to look forward to now, such as Texas, Watkins Glen, and Michigan, because if you win 2 more, you are considered the crown jewel winner of everything. You basically win the universe, and it's something I know that you probably are striving to do, because that's iRacing credits. Money's money, buddy. So that's what you're gonna be racing for next week.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to those races. I had definitely those checked out on my calendar. So see if we can get it.
Well, hopefully you can keep your Thursdays free from here on out. We'd love to see you out here for other races like Milwaukee Mile, Road America, as we head to Montreal and all these other tracks. The season's only half over here for the Indy Series, so there's still plenty of racing left to do, and I hope that I hope that we are able to see you for the rest of it. Is there any shout-outs that you'd like to give there, Mr. Schwartz?
Oh, I definitely want to thank the league members for putting on a show for every week for these guys. Eric Weatherholtz for taking on race control for the series, and the series was struggling at the beginning of the season from what I've seen, and I'm glad that these last few weeks have had a huge turnout. So we'll looking on to the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, and we're looking forward to having you. So hopefully we see you for the rest of the season and beyond, of course. So congratulations on running a solid race.
Thank you.
Now, as we move to our third place finisher here, Mr. Matthew DePriest, as we're getting ready to pull Matthew DePriest in. Matthew DePriest, you got a copy, buddy?
Hey, yo, if you're hearing me, I do.
We hear you loud and clear, my man. Of course, we can't do this interview without speaking about your incidents on the opening lap of both of these duels here. So you definitely had an eventful first lap on both of them. Is there anything you can elaborate on?
It was a bit of roughhousing, but well, I've been in car the whole time, so I haven't had a chance to review anything. But it's road racing. Bad stuff happens.
Yeah, I mean, I seemed to, in the first one, I was able to get a better replay of it. In the first duel, it looked like you kind of maybe just got your nose cut there. But in that second one, I didn't really see the contact. I only saw the aftermath. So, again, if there's any clarification that you can give us, that would be great on that incident today.
The first one, I just remember I had my nose inside of whoever that was for a good little bit before the turn, and it felt like I just got chopped. Luckily, I was able to save it, and there wasn't too much damage, so I was able to make it around. The second one, I took the turn a bit wide, and if I recall, I was pretty much on the line and didn't have anywhere to go, and kind of felt somebody tap me. I didn't even really know what happened.
Sure, and again, I didn't. Part of that's my fault. I didn't get a great replay of it. I actually only heard of the incident, the initial contact, from race control. So part of that's my fault for not doing a great job on the replay. But either way, the story for you is your teammate and the points leader. You now gained 2 races on them. I believe the last race you finished 6th. This race you finished in the podium. So that's a lot of points that you made up on your buddy Brandon Dalton and Andrew Short. Of course, we would have preferred they be here to race it out with you.
Yeah, me too. That's not how I want to do it, because Brandon, he missed it because of kids' softball games, and you can't hold that against him.
Nope, and and Andrew Short had a similar situation.
He would have been right up here with us.
Yeah, and like I said, obviously that's never how you want to maybe take a points lead, but you certainly will after this race. So as you head into Texas, there's now it seems like there's opportunities going forward for you to maybe start extending this points lead, because you have won one race. You won the one race at Indy GP, so you're no stranger to doing well.
There were 2 wins. I won at Barber.
And that's right. You won at Barber with Brandon Dalton. Yep.
Brandon and I kind of mixed it up on the last couple of laps at Indy.
Yep.
And he felt like it was his fault, and he threw the race.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I think he should have had it. Because racing stuff happens,
I mean, either way, you're no stranger to the front. So, I mean, as we enter other road courses, which you and I have spoken before, that's the main reason why you're here, is for the road course racing. Now that you've gotten a taste of kind of what it's like here with a full field, what do you anticipate going forward if we continue to have the same turnout?
Well, this was a lot more fun than the road courses have been. So I'm glad we got the turnout we got tonight. I think this was probably the first time we've had over 7 grid. And, we're talking, what was it, 20 something?
Yeah, there was 20, more than 20 each race, and I know, I think before that the biggest field we had it would have been at Laguna Seca. But Matthew, again, congratulations on your podium. Congratulations on taking the points lead again. Of course, probably not the way you wanted to, but you have it now. So, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to there?
Well, everybody that came out to race, because this was a blast. You guys for putting it on, and Brandon and Mr. Short for giving me the lead.
Right, and I'm sure that they are going to do everything they can to take that back. So, be on the lookout.
I'll crack under pressure at some point. That's my.
All right, Matthew. Well, it's been a pleasure, buddy. Of course, I wish I could be down there racing with you, but I'm up here watching you instead. It's just as much of a treat. So, have a good one, and we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it.
Again, that was Matthew DePriest, our podium finisher there. Closing statements for this broadcast here. You never want to have what happened happen on lap 1, where we took out a lot of good cars. But the race was still good at the end there between Christopher, Jonathan Schwartz having a great battle there. Again, we lost so many cars there on that first incident with Ryan Branch, Jason Taylor, guys that are just so good, in this league, in this series. So hopefully, they don't take this road course and this road course scenario and let it leave a bad taste in their mouth. Hopefully they're able to kind of join us going forward. This turnout here today was great. I think it broadcasted very well. And it was a great show, and I feel like a lot of drivers left here saying that they had some fun. So that's the whole point of it. As we look at the results from the top 10 of today's race, Chris Stouffer led all 25 laps, just a dominating performance between he and just the rest of the field. Jonathan Schwartz had something for him for a little bit, but at the end, it turned out to be the best man won, and it was Chris Stouffer leading all 25 laps of the second duel. Texas will be next week, next Thursday. I will be broadcasting again as we take on 200 laps at the mile and a half. Again, this is a crown jewel event, so the winner of this will be getting 25 buckaroos, and also it should be worth 20, or should be worth double points. Eric, if you're still around, is that accurate?
Yes, I am still around, and no, it's just regular points. Indy is the only race.
Indy was the only one. Okay.
And just to clarify, with the Crown Jewel, the winner of 3 of the 4 Crown Jewel races will get $25, excluding Indy. The winner of that will get $25 regardless.
Okay, awesome. Again, great to have Eric here to clear up some of my nonsense. Again, my knowledge is decent, but not perfect. But again, that's next Thursday, I believe, June the 14th, and we will be taking 200 circuits around Texas Motor Speedway at a very high rate of speed. That'll be very exciting to watch. The most exciting part of that race is going to be the exit of Turn 2 when these guys get some wear on their tires, because that tail end really loves to whip around and slide all over the place after some tire wear. So it'll be really exciting to watch these guys navigate that. As for the next broadcast that DRL TV will bring to you, it will be the Dynasty Racing League's Grand National Series, sponsored by Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters. We'll be taking on the long 2-mile track of Michigan, 85 laps. David Wellborn will be broadcasting. I will be there with him, help supporting him in that broadcast as we take on Michigan next Monday for the Grand National series that we have, sponsored again by Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters. So closing remarks here, I just want to say a huge thank you to all the drivers that showed up today. This was a tremendous response to I know the last couple broadcasts I've really been pushing that I'd love to see guys out there. You guys came out, you put on just a heck of a show. I think combined we probably have, between the 2 races, we probably had almost 30 different drivers come out here and show us what they can do. And And, it's not easy in these Indy cars, and they did a great job. Just an absolute phenomenal job. Huge shout-out to all those guys. Quickly, a huge shout-out to our owners, James Pandolf, Tater Bowman, both who were actually in this race. Again, I say at every race, Martin Wenzel, Jordan Gonzalez. Without those two, whose fingerprints are everywhere on these broadcasts, without those two, it would look really silly, you guys. It wouldn't look great at all. These broadcasts wouldn't collect the views that they do because these guys with the graphics and the software involved in this, they do a tremendous job setting up people like me to be able to give you a live broadcast. Again, we'll thank these broadcasters. Besides myself, we have Daniel Hallis, David, Martin, Taylor, and Ryan. All do great jobs in all 4 series. The admins for this league, if you are a driver or a person who's interested in joining the league, here are the list of names you want to reach out to. If you ever join our Discord, if you're already in our Discord, these names will be highlighted in red. These are the administrators of the league. If you have an issue with anything, contact any of these guys, and they will get to the bottom of it immediately. You see there the list of administrators and race control guys. Race control doesn't get enough credit. Tater Bowman in the Cup, Daniel Hallis on Mondays, Ryan Branch does it on Wednesdays, and Eric Weatherholtz, who's been in the booth with us today. Race control, that's hard. It's hard when you're trying to, shuffle through some of these cautions and see who did what and who's responsible for this and all that stuff. Those guys don't get enough credit. They certainly get more than enough ridicule at times, so a huge shout out to race control. Without them, these races would not go smoothly at all. Eric, if you're still around, is there anything that you maybe want to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, I got to shout out to James Pandolf for putting this all together. Him and Tater, obviously, they're the backbone of this, so we greatly appreciate them. Our sponsors, of course. All 3 of our major sponsors, great. I mean, I love all 3 of them, of course. Thank you for putting these on. And everyone that does the broadcasting, you and David and everybody else that does all this broadcasting, I appreciate all y'all. I mean, we're doing this all voluntarily to put on a good show and have some fun. And obviously, lastly, don't forget to show up next week at Texas. It's going to be the longest race of the IndyCar season. So.
Yeah, no, Texas is going to be great. Again, as you mentioned earlier, similar to Indy, I'm sure, as far as just how competitive and tight it's going to be. A great racing, 2, 3, 4 wide. Hopefully not in the tri-oval. Hopefully not coming out of turn 2 because those places are going to be very treacherous. But I look forward to it. It's next week. There's no time off, so we'll just be right back at it this time next week. And, of course, that race will be brought to you by DRL TV. It will be live. I should be broadcasting. Again, a huge shout-out to that list of admins, the owners, all the drivers that came out tonight. Again, you guys, I just can't explain how awesome it is to see all these guys come out. This has been a stock car oval league since its inception, and they came out. They did a road course in a car that is certainly not a stock car, Eric. Far from it, and they came out, and it was a success. Besides those 2 incidents, which unfortunately took out a lot of lead caliber vehicles. If you erase just 2 moments of the entire day, what great battles all over the place, great racing, and I anticipate that hopefully we can go forward having the same turnout on these road course races because it does look great on the broadcast. So a huge shout out to all those drivers that showed up today. We will see you guys next week. I will see you Monday, of course, broadcasting with David Wellborn as we bring you the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters Grand National Series from Michigan. Any last words, Eric?
Nope. Y'all just have a good night, and we'll see you Monday.
Again, this has been a presentation of DRL TV. We will see you next time. I'm Getty Buckner.